Tofu. Hello everybody, my name is Saiba Varma and I am coming to you from the beautiful Shifang Temple in beautiful San Diego. Welcome to Veggie Plan A. I'm really excited to show you a dish today, which is a curry. It is inspired by some Indian flavors. It is a coconut milk based curry with tofu and lime, and I hope that you will enjoy it. You will see that vegetarian cooking can be full of flavor and very delicious. So let me first introduce the ingredients that we're going to be putting into the dish. So I'm going to be using coconut oil, but you can use any vegetable oil that you might have in your kitchen. And then we're going to be using a number of spices that are going to add a lot of different complex flavors into our dish. So the first spice we're going to be using are cumin seeds. These are whole cumin seeds, and we're going to fry them in our coconut oil. We're also going to be using a little bit of coriander powder. This is just ground coriander powder. It's easily available in any grocery store. And then we're also going to be using something that's called Madras curry powder, or you might find it as just curry powder, and it's a combination of a number of different spices. So it has turmeric, black pepper, ginger, a little bit of nutmeg, a lot of different spices that go into this mix. And then finally, for some beautiful color, we're going to be using some turmeric powder. And you can use any brand that you like. These are available in any supermarket. I'm using this brand, which is called Flower brand, but it really doesn't matter. You can use whatever you have. And then we're also going to be putting a little bit of sugar. I'm using brown sugar. This is going to balance out some of the spices. And we're going to be also using a little bit of vegetable bouillon, or if you have the vegetable bouillon cubes, that's also fine. Of course, the coconut milk, that's going to be one of our main ingredients. I'm using just a classic coconut milk, but you can use light, you can use organic, whatever you like. And then on top, to kind of garnish the dish, we're going to be using, I've got like 2 small tomatoes here, use whatever tomatoes you have, some lime and cilantro. And then of course, we have our tofu. I'm using an organic tofu. You should try to use a firm or extra firm tofu for this so that it doesn't break down in the curry. And I'll show you how to drain and press the tofu. So a lot of the tofu that you get is packed in water. So what you want to do is just squeeze out or press out some of the excess water. So I'm just using a towel, and you just want to gently press out some of the water before you cut it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just chop this up into cubes. Okay, so we're just going to cut the tofu into cubes. Just be gentle with it because it's kind of soft. And don't worry about the cubes, being perfect. It doesn't really matter. And you can just put them to the side. And then you want to prepare your other ingredients. So we want to cut our tomatoes and prepare our cilantro for the garnish on top. So just want to cut the and don't worry about being perfect or anything. It's all gonna go into the curry and be delicious. So these beautiful tomatoes that I got from the farmer's market, but you can use whatever tomatoes that you can find. But of course, right now it's summer, and so tomatoes are in season, so we have some really beautiful different colors and really juicy ones. So try to get the best ones that you can. But really, any tomatoes are going to be good. And I'm using 2 because I'm going to be making 2 cans of coconut with 2 cans of coconut milk. But if you're just cooking for 2 people, you can just use one medium tomato would be just fine for that. I'm really excited to show you all this dish because a lot of people think that vegetarian cooking is bland, that it's not tasty, but we're going to see that you can get so much flavor out of vegetables and you can really enjoy eating them. Okay, and then the final thing we have to do to prepare our ingredients is just to chop up our cilantro on top. So you can just give it a rough chop. Herbs are such a great way to add a lot of flavor to vegetarian dishes, and they also bring such a nice brightness to this dish, which has a lot of nice summery flavors. So just give it a nice rough chop. You can use the stems as well as the leaves. The stems actually have a lot of flavor, and a lot of times we end up throwing them away, but they're perfect in this. So now we've got everything prepared and we can start cooking. So we've got all our ingredients ready and we are ready to start cooking. So ideally you want to use a pot that's a bit heavy, like a heavy bottom pot. That's good for stews or curries and things like that, and it also cooks very evenly. So you want to preheat it a little bit so that it's already warm when you start cooking, because that's important. Since we'll be using spices, we want the spices to put their flavor nicely in the oil. So the oil has to be nice and hot. So I am using coconut oil, as I mentioned, but you can use any kind of vegetable oil that you want. Just putting 1 tablespoon. And what you want to sort of see, that once the oil starts shimmering a little bit, and then you know that it's hot. And the first spice we're going to put into it are our cumin seeds, because these need to kind of pop and sizzle into the oil. So I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, and you can see that when I put them in, they're starting to kind of pop and crackle and sizzle, and they're giving this really nice aroma that we can smell. And then after that, it doesn't matter what order you put the rest of the spices. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of the curry powder and 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. And what you want to do is just kind of mix them around a little bit in the oil, and it can start burning. So what you want to do is just add a little bit of coconut milk, just about like a spoonful, and kind of make a paste. So just sort of blend the spices with the coconut milk until it's sort of smooth, and you can then just add in the rest of the coconut milk and kind of break it down. And you'll see that the curry is starting to form this beautiful kind of marigold yellow color. And that is exactly what we want. So you want to keep the heat on about medium and just let the spices and the coconut milk sort of blend together here. So I'm just gently breaking down the coconut milk because sometimes it gets a bit solid in those cans. But if yours is smooth, that's great. And what you want to do is just keep it on a kind of medium-low and bring it to a simmer. And we're going to simmer it for a few minutes so that all the spices really combine really nicely with the coconut milk. Okay, so you want the heat on like a medium to medium-low. so that it's nicely simmering. All the spices are blending together. You're going to get a really nice, beautiful, complex flavor. And periodically, you want to just keep kind of stirring, because sometimes you'll see that the coconut milk kind of forms like a layer on top. So don't be afraid to just get in there and just keep kind of gently stirring it. And you want the curry to thicken a little bit. So we're going to just keep it like this, stirring occasionally for about 10 minutes. Okay, so it has been simmering for about 10 minutes. You can see that we've got this beautiful color, and the curry's, thickened up a little bit. You can't see any bits of the spices, so you know that everything has blended together really well. So what we want to do as our next step is we want to add a little bit of the vegetable bouillon. If you have cubes, you can use that as well. That's totally fine. And then we're also going to add a little bit of sugar to kind of balance the flavor a little bit, because the spices, have a nice kind of robust taste. So you want to balance it out a little bit with the sugar, and then we're going to put the tofu in. So let's just start with the bouillon. I really like using this because it's already a paste, so you don't have to dissolve it in water or anything. You can just stick it straight in. So I'm using about half a tablespoon, and this is going to be our main salt content in this dish as well. So you don't really need to add extra salt. And then we're going to add a little bit of sugar. I'm putting in about 2 teaspoons of sugar. Of course, if you have some dietary restrictions, you can skip the sugar too. That's completely fine. And you just want to kind of mix all of that in here as well. Dissolve the vegetable stock. And once you've done that, then go ahead and add in your tofu. And just be gentle here, because the tofu likes to splash around a little bit. So just gently kind of put it into your dish. And now you don't really need to do much at all. Now it's just the tofu is going to absorb these lovely kind of tropical warm flavors in the curry. And then we're just going to add our tomatoes, our cilantro, and our lime on top. And so you can see this is actually also a really quick dish to make, really good for like a weeknight meal. So yeah, so just let the tofu in here just kind of absorb the flavors for another few minutes. So our curry has been simmering for a few more minutes with the tofu inside, and you can see that it's really started to thicken up beautifully. When the curry kind of sticks to the spoon, you know that it's nice and thick. And look at this beautiful color, right? It's so attractive. So this is a good point before we add in our tomatoes and our cilantro. Okay, so we are going to now add we're at the final stage of our cooking. So we're going to add the tomatoes. And you just want to put them all straight in here. They're going to thicken up the curry. They're going to add a really nice kind of acidic note. And of course, the color is going to be really beautiful on top of the gorgeous yellow color that we have. You don't want to cook the tomatoes too long, just until they're soft. Okay, so our tomatoes have broken down a little bit. You can see they've just kind of softened a little bit. You don't want them to be totally mush. So this is perfect. It's been cooking for about 2 to 3 minutes. We are ready to turn off the stove. We are ready for our final step, which is just garnishing. So all that cilantro we cut up before, we're just going to put a generous garnish on top. Cilantro is a very common, I would say probably the most common garnish in Indian dishes. It adds just a really nice pop of color and flavor, that herby flavor. And then finally, because this is a curry with lime, we are going to put a nice big squeeze of lime into this, and that is also going to help bring out all of the spices, and it's going to add a really nice note, a nice sour note. So In this dish, we have so many different flavors going on. You've got some sourness, you've got some sweetness, you've got some saltiness, and you've got some spiciness. So it's a really, really nourishing and hearty and satisfying dish. So I'm just gonna use half a lime here. You can just juice it right on top. And then we'll be plating this and it's ready to eat. Okay folks, so here we have it. Our beautiful curry is ready. You can see all of these amazing colors that we have here. We've got, these beautiful red tomatoes, the green of the cilantro, the tofu, the turmeric and curry powder have given it such a beautiful bright color. A lot of people say they don't like tofu, but I promise if you try this dish, you are going to be converted, because all of the other spices add so much flavor to the tofu. So I really hope you will try it, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it will help you do more vegetarian cooking. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you will tune in for another episode of Veggie Plan A very soon, and please don't forget to like and subscribe this video. Enjoy, and thank you so much for watching.